Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing today? Sorry, dealing with major technical issues this morning. Oh, nothing seems to be working. How is everyone doing this fine PCE Friday? Oh, boy. So, what is going on? Let me see. Still trying to get stuff tuned. Can everybody hear me okay? Could you type in the chat if you can hear me okay? I keep getting streaming failed due to audio issues. So, good morning, Sterling, if everyone can hear me. I'm going to talk about that. We'll talk about that in a second. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, John. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, Odie Green. Good morning, Jake. All right, Jacob. Sound is good. Good morning, Patrick and Rusty. Could people let me know on Rumble if the sound is working there? Hello, Daniel. All right. We'll get to the PCE stuff first. We'll do a little market prep, and then we will go through that quick post for yesterday. And if Sterling, I don't know where you found that. I don't know who that is, but if you could send them the link to this live stream, and they might not want to watch it. Again, this isn't picking on the person. We all make mistakes. I've been doing this since 1992, even though I look so young. Oh, hello, Charles. Oh, I've been up for many hours. One of my dogs has been up since 2:50 a.m. So you make coffee and you look at the European markets. What else are you going to do? We had the PCE coming in, roughly market celebrating. See, the market celebrating PCEs in line. Market celebrating that the core PCE is only 2.9%. You know, it wasn't worse. So we got to still cut rates. Personal spending up, income up, and spending up, but spending's up more than income. Don't know how that's going to work out long term. Headline PCE year over year is 2.7. Monthly 0.4. That was a little hotter. Oh, that's income. Sorry, core PCE month over month was 0.2 in line, same as prior. The headline a month over month coming in at 0.3, higher than 0.2, so technically rising a bit. What else? We got Barkin speaking. We'll get maybe his thoughts on it. We got consumer sentiment, so I am paying attention to 10 a.m. Eastern. All right, 10 a.m. Eastern, especially inflation expectations. Then we got Bowman speaking. We got the rig counts. We got Mussolini speaking. And we got Bostic speaking after the close. All right. Real quick, let's take a look. Apple's down a bit. All their mega caps are up. Boeing's up 4.25%. Costco after earnings, which was a beat. But again, when you're trading Costco at its PE multiples now, and we're not going to use that in the short term. However, when you barely beat and your PE of Costco's like absurd for Costco, you know it's down a bit. People will probably rush in and buy it. Drugs up after we're going to slap 100% tariffs on anybody not building a factory or breaking ground in this country. Everything's up today except consumer defensive, down 8 basis points. Fed watch, still expecting the cut in 33 days. Fear and greed, oh, well, it's got to be a buy. There's actually lots of buy setups, lots of percent B buy setups today that I'm keeping an eye on. Is it neutral? Because we could get easily another bounce in this little minor secondary reaction is going to tell us something. Schiller PE at a dirt cheap 39.60. By the way, if you're new here, that was sarcasm. We had Costco yesterday and nothing this morning. Sterling, if you could just put in Costco's earnings, unless I missed them. Oh, boy. Oh, it's just going to be one of those days. So, all right. Let's get to that post real quick, and then we'll get going with some other stuff. Real quick, let me just touch on the S&P. By the way, then we'll get to that post. This is technically not a valid mini double bottom in the S&P and NASDAQ because it went 1, 2, 3. It's 4 bars in. However, The targets, my target on an adjusted, now this is a quick breakout based off the PCE numbers. If it does not hold the support, I would not be holding. Again, can't give specific trade recommendations because I don't know everybody's account and their trading methodology. But if this pulls back and cannot hold support, I'm not looking to hold it. It actually hit my first target. And what I was going to show, though, is the second target is roughly in line with the 62.5. That's why I don't need to use it. And the third target is just in front of the 75, and even the NASDAQ ones line up bigger. But why did I use this? Technically not valid, moved way too far to the right before triggering. I kept the levels on there just to show that, but my first key was a 66.90 as the 50% harmonic. The next area I'm looking at is 67.07. If it can rally back up and get through 66.90. And the final target area I'm using is 67.14. This is technically not a double, but this is going to be a very key pivot point it's already broken out of. That's what I'm looking at. To the downside, if we pull back and start dropping below 66.70, I'm really watching the major support area coming in around 66.60. So, would the double bottom work on the NASDAQ, and then we'll get to that other post? No. See, it's extended too far on the 1 hour and the 4 hour. Now, that being said, the area I was watching here on the NASDAQ was 24,650. We have not hit any key targets. My key target on this, if it can sustain above 24,640, at least turn that into support on this pullback, then my first target is 24,800 area, just in front of that, actually 24,790, right in front of the 62.5. Then I'm looking at the 75 harmonic, which lines up with what would have been the second target on the double. And then I'm looking, really my final target is about 24.9 to 24.905. If it extends beyond there with momentum, or if we go into a strong close today, I'm watching 24.951 into the beginning of next week. If we can't sustain this 24,650 area, 24,650, then my key line in the sand on any pullbacks 24,580. We start breaking below that. If we start breaking below that with the momentum, there'd be some scalpy shorts. But again, it's Friday. Don't do stupid on Fridays. Now, can you see this? All right. And I am not picking on this person. But this can apply, and I hope some other people watch this if they're in the background. We get a lot of people watching on replay or on the background. Let's go through this. Let's dissect this. I took out a $50K personal loan hoping I could double or triple it, pay off the debt, and still have plenty left. Instead, I ended up losing it all. What is the first thing for anybody trading or investing? It doesn't matter. You do not trade or invest with money you cannot lose. Taking out a loan, which is leverage, which I'm also saying this, trading futures or leverage, trading on margin in stocks is leverage. You got to be careful. All right? You got to be careful using any kind of leverage. And on top of it, you should not be risking money you cannot lose. If you want to risk some, let's say you say, you know what, I'd rather try to make myself, my family, whatever, some more money trading, and we're not going to take a vacation this year. I'm taking money. Instead of taking vacation, we're going to put it in the markets. Fine. You're willing to lose that money, just as like when you're done with the vacation, it would have been spent. Or you take savings, or you take something, but you're willing to lose the money. Second, the most painful part is I actually had some amazing positions that would have tripled my money or even more, but I sold too early and held on to losing trades. Now I'm sitting on $50K worth of debt, feeling devastated. First thing, what do we do? Well, I don't know if everybody does it. What do I teach? Come up with your targets before you get in a trade. Come up with your stops before you get in a trade. Make sure your reward to risk ratio is appropriate. All right, and if you understand trade expectancy, which is your probabilities, which takes some time to learn, times your reward to risk, that gives you a trade expectancy. You better have a positive trade expectancy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it or ask AI. I don't care. So why do we come up with targets? Because targets are somewhere where you can take profits and or raise a stop. And when I say know your stops, also know how you're trailing the stop. I trail with harmonics, I trail with percent B reversals, and I trail with the rotation zone. I know how I'm trailing a stop before I get in a position. So if it hits a target, am I taking something off there and raising a stop? Am I just raising a stop? Why do you trail with a stop? Because no, you might have tripled your money. It might pull back to maybe you only doubled your money. But hey, it hit my stop. I'm done. I'm out. My profits are done, but I had the chance to let them run. So you need to let your winners run to a certain extent, and you need to know where your targets are. That's why I always suggest trailing your final amount out. Trail out on your final amount. You're not trying to top ticket. You're trying to capture as much of the move as possible. All right? What's the other thing? Know where your initial stop is and do not change it. If you can't stick with it, put it in the market. Why? Because hanging on, oh, this loser, I don't want to take the loss, it's going to turn around. Well, a couple big losers can wipe out a lot of profits, especially on stuff that goes vertical up, vertical down. And you know what we think about vertical up, vertical down. So, holding on to losers, and you're going to always have losing trades, cut them short. Know where your stops are before you get in the position. Know how to trail, know your targets. If you can't figure out targets and you can't figure out a stop, you have no business putting on the trade. And this takes time to learn something. What do I think you should do next? First off, you have to pay off the debt. And while you're paying off the debt, study and learn, whether you're trading or investing, learn from reputable sources. It's not get rich quick. It's not doubling or tripling your money overnight. It's not leveraging your money. And Bob said this for years, it's not a get rich quick. It's you can make money faster. You can make investment returns faster than just sitting on your money, but you have to do it the right way. It's slow and steady wins the race. If you're looking to leverage your money, I want 10 times. You know, we're in a pump and dump market. There's so much pumping stuff. Again, I look at valuations for long-term holdings, but we're in stuff that's absolutely insane. And I'm not just talking the markets. You know, you got crypto that's pumping and dumping, everything, even the open door. Okay, it's another current pump and dump. There'll be some people that make money on the pop, but a lot of people will get wiped out. You don't want to be the ones that are going to be wiped out. So, learn to trade. Don't trade penny stocks. Don't trade vertical ups and vertical downs. Look to make the money consistently. And go back to what I said to start it off. Pay off your debt and then learn from reputable people. Again, everybody on this channel doesn't have to mimic what I do, but the people on here have been in here a long time. I don't change what I'm doing every day. It's consistent. If you're consistent, you can figure out if it's working or not. So pay off your debt, and then while you're doing that, learn. Learn from something reputable. Okay? Does that make sense? I know to longer term people. And by the way, gambling, look at even sports now. Everything's based off of What's the gamble? I mean, ESPN 10 years ago, was there on every sport they covered, were they covering what the bets are, what the parlays were? Everything we've turned into a high risk gambling society. That is not a way to make money. If you want to play some gambling, you like football, basketball, whatever, and you set aside some money you're willing to lose, that's fine. But if you're looking, unless you really know your crap, you're not going to be a professional gambler. And if you can't manage your reward to risk, even on professional gambling, you have no reason to do it, because then it is pure gambling. Everything is turned into gambling. And I understand, because younger generations, I might as well risk it because there's no way I'm buying a house. There's no way I'm doing that. Everything's a gamble. You're better to learn to do something the right way, and then slow and steady wins the race. I'm going to a 5-way parlay, and I'm taking $10,000. If I hit it, I'm going to make $200,000. Yeah, but you're also going to probably lose your $10,000. So it's not just the markets. We're in a pure gambling society right now. And be very careful gambling, because most gamblers lose it all. Andrea, I've been there now for the last 5 years. I've just listened and learned and applied it to my real estate business. Good. So, good morning, Anissa. Just remind me in a bit. Kids love DraftKings. 10-leg parlay. Hey, let's go to a 10-leg parlay. Now the coaches and players apologize in public when a bet doesn't hit. Yeah, and the risk seeking is driven also by inflation. It is. Look at the PCE numbers. This is what I thought was going to happen. This is what I thought was going to happen, that it was going to get stuck at the mid to upper twos, which is crushing people. Most people don't even get 2% raises. So that means you're falling farther. If you're working, you're falling farther and farther behind. And, okay, how do I get ahead? I got to gamble. We already covered NASDAQ. By the way, while I'm watching stuff, let me go back to the S&P. Sorry to get on the soapbox. I'm just trying to, the whole point I get up and do this is to try to help people. I'm now watching to see if we set up a more significant topping pattern. We got cycle bottoms, which is why we could easily rotate back up, especially even if we pull back today, but rotate back up. All right? So my key line in the sand is going to be watching the 62.5 levels on these bounces. If the bounces hold either today or early next week. We pulled back into the rotation zone finally, which, look, we haven't pulled back deep into the rotation zone since we broke out last time at the beginning of September. So I got messages yesterday, we're crashing. This is not a crash. Come on, we haven't even had a 2% drop. This is the other problem. People are so conditioned to the market just going up every day. This freaks people out. If this freaks you out, start studying history. Look at this. Look at the weekly. Look at this weekly chart. This is the drop people are freaking out on. People are so conditioned. It's got to go up every day because they're so highly friggin' leveraged. People are trading. We're at record margin debt. People are just essentially parlaying their wins in the market into more leveraged positions. That's not going to end well when this thing eventually gets, and it will get a bigger pullback. Look at the monthly. Could we even pull back below 57.50? Yeah. We could still close back above it, but look at the beginning of the tariff tantrum. Look at February. Look, you could get these bigger pullbacks. We could return to the 50-week moving average. We could theoretically return to 5K. Well, how do you think people leveraging all this way up are going to do then? So know where your stops are. NASDAQ. By the way, the key level I'm going to be watching for is 24,800 on any bounce close because that shifts the probabilities up. Why? These are not guarantees, but we're looking to trade. The trend is still up. Do we have a major topping pattern yet? No. By the way, on the Dow bounce, I'm looking at 46,577 and 46,695 area. The Russell. Remember, we have a still playing out double top pattern. We had a double bottom pattern that also extended too far to the right, so we can't use that. But look at, if it breaks out again, it tried to break out, but look at the Russell. Not even able to hold the key levels. So right now I'm paying attention to right here on any pullback in the Russell. 24.25. If Russell can manage to get back above about 24.37 and then rally, my first target is 24.50 going into next week. And that's not because of this. Did I take off the wrong one? Yeah, I did. Sorry. That's not because of the not valid double bottom. All right. Oh, boy. So that's because, and we're still playing out this double, the double top pattern. So the Russell can still have more probable downside. Now we hit the other side of the rotation zone. That's why I'm very cautious. And yesterday it essentially hit the second target from my perspective when we hit the bottom of the rotation zone. So this is only very cautiously short. Unless we can break and sustain back above 24, above this key level. VIX. Again, you have this one little 1 hour mini double bottom. VIX is already starting to pull back. So unless the VIX starts accelerating above 1675 again, watching the choppy for potential longs, unless the VIX really starts trading back above 1675. DAX, still. Look, yesterday tested key support. Today, and key resistance. It still needs to break out or break down. Yields, slight little. We're pulling back earlier, but bouncing with those PCE numbers. Getting probably the first cross the rotation zone. 4.2 is still very key for me to get more into a sustained long besides a bounce long. 30-year still needs to get really above 4.76 and hold that as support. Crude is still in trailing mode. We did have a potential double top that's no longer valid. It never triggered. This extended too far up yesterday. So it's still in trailing long mode. Natty gas, by the way, this is a roll gap. So if you're in a double on this, you have to use the current contract to really do it, which is your November contract. I'm not going to go through that right now. But if you see, I just did a back adjusted. You have to switch the targets on the roll because you had to roll the position or wait to get in it and then get in it. All right. But you see just on the roll contract, it's returned to the rotation zone and rotating back down. I just don't have I'm not going to update the targets based off of that right now. Gold still continues higher. What am I paying attention to with gold? It's really struggling to rotate back up. The key thing I'm watching, still can't get above the 62.5. I'm still watching 37.96. If we close above there, watching to see if this gets into potential double top. Again, trend's still up, but I'm going to be watching for potential double top territory. Then I'm going to be watching the low from Wednesday. Silver, we're going into the open too. Silver just continues to grind higher. So what is it? It's in trailing mode. We're getting a possible waning momentum on this. Copper, again, dropping back below. It's got to now hold 4.71, or really it's going to be a false breakout. Dollar index, slight little pullback today. 98.20 is still key. Coming up real close to that yesterday. So on any pullback, I'm watching to now see if the rotation zone and the hooking up 50 hold on the daily. That will be another one that if this can hold support, that I'm going to be watching for more of the pain trade. Lots of people are short the dollar in some way. Euro little bounce here after closing below the 50, so I'm going to be watching for rollover plays in the euro. Unless we regain a 117.60. The spiders, pay attention to yesterday's high. Why is this moving so slow today? Because that would be a percent B buy if we can close above it into the rotation zone, and also rotation zone buy if we need to close today above yesterday's high. Yesterday's high being 659.41. Again, not trading advice, just if you're trying to learn, there you go with the open. So it's got to hold some support and rotate back up. The Qs, also potential rotation zone and percent B buy, but it's got to get above 595.12 if you're trying to learn a percent B and close above there. Otherwise, it's not. It's not triggered. It's not triggered or valid. So any breakout play has to do that. Bitcoin, still pretty decent selling yesterday. Remember, we have the massive double top pattern. Boy, everything's slow today. That's still in place. So we could still see more. We have not hit the first target. Okay, but I'm still watching for lower for longer in crypto. Interesting enough, on the last little run up, the Ethereum. Ethereum closed below 62.5, so going to be watching for rollover plays in that too. So what else we have? You have a great weekend too, Christoph. Doing this Mike's way, my trading account is up 98.64%. I've taken losses due to stop loss on trades, and that would have been winners if I held and I've not top ticked a single stock. Again, that was year to date. You're not going to win every trade. Not going to happen. And people who say you are full of crap. CarMax. Then I have to jump. CarMax, again. Let's take a look at the weekly. Where is it? I mean, CarMax, auto industry is going to start taking it short, but we have very key resistance. If this can hold this area where it's testing now and get a bottoming formation, would not be in it. Long term, we have a gap down. Look at earnings, a miss. Okay, any bounce play, I'd still be looking for rollover plays, but if it starts losing about 42.50, would be very, very patient on any positions, because this could even trade back down into the 30 to 25 if it cannot hold here. Any bounce play would be for a short-term bounce only, but again, I wouldn't play those. I just wait for a longer term, and meaning longer term, it'd have to do a weekly setup for me. Where's Nissan? I actually have not looked at Nissan in a long time. Nissan has a potential double bottom. Not confirmed or triggered yet. I'd want to close above the 50 to trigger it, by the way. There is a valid potential double bottom in that. Has not confirmed or triggered yet, so it is not technically a long yet. So, other than that, if that does not trigger, I'd watch for a rotation back down and a possible triple bottom. With that, let's just see. Okay, this is exactly, so we pulled back, held support, and now rotating back up. So if this continues, again, above 66.90, the next key target area is right near, just around 6,700, 6,705. Hope that was helpful. Again, I can't get to all the comments today. Sorry about that. I hope everyone, good morning, Heinrich. Again, if you're late here, you might want to watch the replay. We covered a couple things, and hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And I shall talk to everyone next week, as long as I don't have any technical issues. Bye for now.